Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, welcoming you to the Q2 episode of Coffee Corner Radio with my host, my fabulous friend, colleague, curmudgeon, Martin Fischer. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm doing good. It's a bit hot here. First very hot day in Germany. But yeah, doing good. And you?
Summer is coming. I'm happy, luckily, to be in San Diego. It's Memorial Day weekend. This week, and with Monday off, there's fewer conferences this week, so I'm at home with crappy weather, not hot, because the worst weather, public service display, the worst weather in San Diego is in May and June. Don't come and visit and think there will be sunny beaches here. Against all Southern California propaganda. So all of Southern California doesn't have good time in May and June, so don't come. But that's not what we have to talk about. We want to talk about the Orlando weather, which was also unseasonably cold. I think it was the coldest Sapphire ever that I attended. Tons of rain, temperatures in the 60s. I mean, I walked about the famous bridge of all despairs, like the bridge in Venice, from the Hilton to the conference center, and it was almost chilly. Never had that before. It was more like, oh, it's not so bad, and after 100 meters, maybe 200 meters off the bridge over there, you start sweating, right? So, but no, wasn't the case. So, but a great Sapphire. So what's your key takeaway? Where should we start?
Yeah, I think there were some very hot news, and I mean, I would say it was the expectations were very high this year. I think because of the whole stock market pressure and also the announcement during the quarter press conference where they presented the numbers. And I also must admit, SAP delivered this time, so it was all about the autonomous enterprise, hard word, late in the evening here in Germany. Sorry for the pronunciation, which is the new messaging and vision from SAP. And I must say, can't remember a Sapphire which was that strong with a comprehensive story from end to end and very good delivered keynotes. So
exactly.
Kudos to SAP and the teams working on that. I think that was really very good.
Exactly, yeah. I totally agree with you. This is why I said a very good Sapphire, which I really have the luxury pleasure to say. But I totally agree with you. And I've been asking people who've been going to Sapphire. My first Sapphire was in 96 or 95, I don't remember. There's been only 2 times where SAP had such a compelling vision, which dominated the keynote and took central stage from that perspective. And the vision doesn't mean that SAP delivered, because some people might laugh what I say now, what's in the same category. The 2 things in the same category, now forgot the years already, was mysap.com. Everything was in the internet craze. My Yahoo is still around today, right? But
1999, I think.
Yeah, some of these 97, 98, 99. I don't know, forgot which one came first. They were back-to-back years, right? So internet architecture, portals to go into things, compelling because of the different systems behind there, customers having different systems and so on. How well SAP delivered, we leave that to another part. And the other one was a perennial problem, which obviously SAP did not solve, right? Which was enjoy. Right, saying, okay, we acknowledge we have a UX problem. We do all the UIs newly. You should enjoy the UI, right? The swoosh and other stuff. How it rated, we leave it again to everybody. This is another, should do an episode about the big 3 vision announcements from SAP, but they were all last century. And if you want, even last millennium, right? So kudos to have for the first time, not just, oh, intelligent enterprise, best run business, whatever. Every year there was a new tagline. Every year in the past year, there was a new Rise or Grow offering of financial engineering to get customers. For the first time, there was a compelling vision. And for the first time, the main keynote, right, the main applications keynote, let's forget the McDermott days where the first keynote was just hello, hello, and customer success, right, was all about platform. Right? Never has SAP made this all about platform, which is, I think, the right direction. It's the acknowledgement that SAP does not know what to build for customers. I cannot dazzle customers by saying upgrade to S/4HANA, because we thought about how enterprise automation should run on what I call the infinite computing landscape that we have, where nobody knows exactly how much compute you need, and it's flexible to run your business process, which is sad on the one side. On the flip side, it's the acknowledgement. So it means, hey, customer, here are the tools to build something. And the idea of autonomous is something which we only talk about autonomous now, but it's happening the whole time, right? Lots of people are skeptical on autonomous. We can find out what varying degrees SAP will have of autonomous driving, whatever it is. But if you think about close and near to my heart is payroll, right? When the first payroll automation was happening, well, this thing was running by itself. Scary for the practitioner, right? You would manually tabulate things, or maybe have a spreadsheet. I don't know exactly, but it was definitely more powerful. And oh my God, what could come out of this if they calculate all the paychecks wrong, right? And it's a black box, right? You don't even know what it happens, right? The source code wasn't available, so a scary setup, but it was an autonomous piece of automation, and that's what enterprise automation is all about. Obviously, now with AI, we can do much more. But I'm talking way too long. Martin, your take on the autonomous suite?
Yeah, and I think the first time I saw a bigger picture behind all the AI announcement SAP did so far. And yeah, in the past, I was often more or less underwhelmed by especially the demos they showed when it was like, yeah, well, we have here in SuccessFactors the UI where you prepare your appraisal meetings with your employee, and now there is an LLM integration which whatever generates your text there. And I thought, yeah, well, of course, but this I can do with my side-by-side window and ChatGPT or any other large language model. There's no need to have that UI integration, and I don't see a real benefit into this. I mean, now we saw a vision. It still, of course, needs to materialize in the end, and we need to see the results customers will get with that. But the vision is something which is for sure bold, but also something where I think customers can see value for them.
Right, absolutely right, and interesting, like bringing together pieces of the stack, right? I mean, I didn't like last year the big announcement was obviously SAP Business Data Cloud, which wasn't even mentioned in the slides, right? In the analyst track, Muhammad Alam said that's the fastest growing SAP product, right? So why would you not put your fastest growing product on the architecture slides? But so I would have liked to see a transition of how it becomes part of the business AI platform, but bringing together Business Data Cloud, bringing together Joule, bring together the agentic framework, I might be forgetting something, into one single platform that, of course, has the expectation now to work seamlessly together is a very good strategy from that perspective. But at the core, right, and you said the correct thing, I mean, all the agents which so far were coming have always had the question, because they're packaged agents, are they good enough? Are they working good enough? And pretty much all the ERP vendors, and your example was right spot on, did something which LLMs did really well to a certain point, we can debate, which is generating text, parsing text, right? Which is in performance management, right? Which is fine to help people with that, because nobody wants to write long text, nobody wants to read long text. So if LLMs can help you to have a better way of describing the performance of an employee, all the power to it. But the key thing is the enablement of customers to build and own, but something I used to say in the no code, low code era, right? Own your automation destiny, right? So now you're building your agents and you own your automation destiny in the outcome of the agent with all the ups and downs, right? It doesn't work. It's on the wrong platform. You did something wrong, but then you build something unique that you have by yourself. And I think that's the right strategy, at least until we figured out how to do things with agents going forward. And there will be standard package agent. SAP unleashed 30 plus or announced 30 plus package agents. You should treat them like packaged software. Do their features? What's the roadmap for them? SAP made very clear that they can be extended, right? There's always the caveat they may not fit 100%. So back to the platform for you to extend them. So for now, I think it's very clear you have to build your own agents, which is a key message to take away from Sapphire in my perspective.
Yeah, you mentioned the packaged agents, and I think there was another move which was a bit of a surprise for me because SAP rediscovered the love to their industries, as they are also working on industry-specific AI agents and other AI content, from my understanding, and that's something I think the last years didn't have the priority in Waldorf, at least not 7-8 years back, and now they are really bringing that back on the agenda and on the roadmaps, and I think that's was always a unique differentiator for SAP in the past, that they are very strong in the industry business. I think in the last decade, they did probably in some areas at least not the best job, and customers are a bit frustrated. Just looking into the healthcare industry, at least in Europe, that's
banking spin-off.
Yeah, number one. But now they rediscovered that and will work on industry-specific content, and I think that's good news for customers.
Totally agree with everything you said, but a little differentiated in the sense that be careful with anything vertical coming out, right? Because my tagline is always, when there's horizontal innovation eats vertical innovation for breakfast, in the sense that nothing will be delivered, right? Because you don't want to drag and build a deeper hole. And if you think about the vertical capabilities that SAP has built all the way in the 90s that customers are using, might have customized, might have extended, they're all part of ECC. And the message was not there like, look, you're going to build things in Joule which can call back to ECC. Yes, there's a commitment that ECC data, when Muhammad Alam always confirms that ECC data will be in BDC, but I haven't seen yet how it's getting there. And that would be the requirements for that to happen. So I think it's more of like, okay, we're covering all the bases. Nobody should steal customers from us for vertical capabilities. No competitor really. Maybe Oracle can do some stuff on vertical because in a very mature state is really everybody's building agents, providing agentic frameworks. So of course, if I build a custom agent, right, I should get my custom data, my vertical data, and can build my vertical agent. So I don't know even why it needs the industry AI moniker, right? And putting the burden again, because think it through, right? So SAP doesn't have the vision as a category leader how ERP should be done in the 21st century. Fine, we moved on from that. So that means also I don't have any vision how vertical processes should be done in the 21st century, right? So yes, I can build packaged agents like in every area, keep my fingers crossed that they will do the stuff, need them customizable, or as a customer, I'd also think, look, I know what I've customized, what I'm using vertically on ECC, that's critical automation to me. Thank you, I can now expose it through agents in an agentic world to automate processes, to help my people to run 24/7, whatever. Right, but you own and you decide this. I don't see the capacity on the SAP side to significantly invest into industry. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news here, but last one on this one, right? When Christian Klein said it and I give him high kudos for being honest there, right? The spin-off, I forgot the name where it went to for the financial sector banking thing, Delphin or whatever, I don't know. Yeah, you can look it up, right? So whatever it is, right? He asked him, like, you don't have enough developers. Pioneer. Thank you, Martin. Thank you for being my memory here. At Pioneer said, yeah, we don't have enough developers to build all the vertical capabilities, right? And that has not changed. Now, the interesting impact, last thought on this, like, what does vibe coding, what does AI in development, what factor does it do? But again, you have to build horizontal stuff before you build vertical stuff. And if I don't know the vision, you can see like customers are building agents, SAP is doing lots of co-development with customers again. Those might be productized, standardized, good luck with that. So, but first I have to build something horizontal. And we all talk about agents right now and autonomous. I think autonomous is a better, longer lasting vision than agents, but there will be the next thing, right? There always is the next thing, right? So, yeah, so this is why I call
even faster.
Sorry?
In these times, faster than ever, I would say.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah, fully agree. So the industry topic is for sure something also which needs to be seen a bit carefully, I would say. But nevertheless, I think it's good that SAP rediscovered that topic again. Maybe you mentioned that they talked a lot about the platform, and so I think we can quickly cover the big announcements. I think the biggest, besides the new tech line, was that there is now SAP Business AI platform, which is I would say bringing business data cloud, the business AI capabilities, and BTP together. Under the hood, you also have the knowledge graph and the domain models. So that's bringing all the foundational technical capabilities together into one platform. I think, well, we are long enough in this SAP world. In the end, it's again a renaming and rebundling of more or less existing stuff.
But with the commitment that it all works together.
Yeah,
right. That is the key part important. Of that. Right. Yeah. And that's what you don't want to have, right? Everybody's in the pressures from the shareholders, across the boards, across the CEO, then down the hierarchy, build agents. So you want to have a tool set that works together, right? This year is the battle of the agentic frameworks. Companies will realize, I don't want to have 26 plus one. I want to have one which I can standardize on. And that's what is missing. And this is why it's good to bring things together. And SAP is the master of building suites. So I think that's the right direction of it. I would have liked to keep the data layer out a little more, right? Because anything in the business AI platform is bound to SAP, except for the business data cloud, which is open for anything, right? So for the rest, you have SAP tooling, you have SAP LLMs, you have RPT 1 point, I don't know what exactly, but it's an SAP stack, which is fine, right? It should be an SAP stack, right? So the duality of that is what I would prefer to see, but let's see how open they can really keep it from that perspective. Actually, I just looked at my notes. Approximately 100 agents are coming this year, and interesting enough, they're agglomerating agents into assistants as the higher construct for people to work with assistants who then run their own agents, right? So it's speaking a little SAP lingo here.
Okay, yeah, and part of the business AI platform is Joule Studio 2.0, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Another bundling effort.
Yeah, right. And it was always also something you don't see often at SAP stages at the main events, that they more or less said that the first version of Joule Studio was not the best piece of software they ever shipped. So now they invested into N8N. That's a German startup. It's often phrased or framed as an AI startup. I would rather say it's a process automation startup, which is heavily used in the context of agents. And yeah, SAP made a significant investment into this company, and this their visualization, at least what I saw in the keynote, seems to be the more or less the new standard UI for modeling your agent workflows.
Yeah, no, correct. So consolidation on the platform side there too, bring things together. The build platform is in there. The interesting thing is what everybody's doing, right, is intent-based development, right? So it lowers the bar of building code to a large part, because all you need is a good text definition to build some pretty interesting automated things, right? I did
it was always very easy to make your requirements right. That was
that's part of was already the problem of low code, no code, right? I know so many business people who got their hands dirty in the sense building stuff on the platform. They said, well, the biggest takeaway is I realized why all the IT consultants to me yelled at, think about your requirements first, right? Because if I didn't think that through, well, it was my weekend, it was my after hours to get that fixed again, right? So that's the interesting lesson learned on that, and that will also happen with intent-based development. But the important thing, it lowers the bar. More people can own their automation destiny, powered by AI. Who's going to maintain that code? We'll leave that to another episode, because that's a different story, right? But yeah, so important bundling from that perspective as well, right? So I did an interesting report, actually. I need to send it to you. It's a little shameless self-advertising. Also did a whatever they call it, like mini keynote presentation on that. We took two SAP Joule use cases, add a skill, build an agent, and build a full stack app, and benchmark that to people building that with third-party environments. And no surprise, right? There's a strong opinionated approach in Joule Studio, of course, that it should be easier to build things with SAP than with third-party tools, and it is, right? So if you can live with the restrictions, with the assumptions that they make, you don't want to go to a third party, you have significant automation advantage. Everything is roughly in the area of 50% or even faster, right? One of them was, I think, even 7 times faster. I think it was adding a skill. Yeah, so share the report if you want to. If you hear it, reach out to me. I'm happy to share it with anybody. SAP licensed it too, so it could be on their website as well at some point. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
And then we had some acquisitions closing, right? Veltio closed very timely, super fast, right? I think early March, early April, they announced the intent. It's interesting from the perspective and gives some credibility to the data side, at least is open to third party, because the major thing of Veltio is MDM capabilities for customers, products, whatever else you might want to use. So good acquisition for the third party aspect. Also good acquisition because the race really in the data cloud area is like the out-of-the-box interfaces, right? This is why Salesforce has 4 billion reasons to think why they bought Informatica. Because Informatica had the best third-party supported interfaces. SAP has some very good ones too in the integration suite, right? And they passed the critical burden. I think it's 4 or 5 years that I've been able to maintain them, but they're more point-to-point single API interfaces. They're not the batch download comparison interface you need to fit into a data lake. So, but they might also only use Veltio for doing MDM because they announced another acquisition there, which is Dremio. Dremio, which if you remember the crusades, I call them the crusades between replication and federation. Dremio was square and fair in the in the federation camp, and unfortunately history is clear now. Federation did not work because of lots of reasons which are longer than this call. We have lots of topics which we could make a whole separate episode.
I was already thinking with your last comment, I should take notes.
well, we have transcription tools available for anybody. Right?
Now
I hope I didn't pay too much for Dremio because, like I said, they were a loser thinking federation would work. I'm worried about every vendor who puts out a federation approach for agents, which kind of works for pilots, for confidential pilots, and for not very successful agents where people are happy to work 2 or 3 minutes. But anything which is highly interactive with people, other agents, is not working on federation, where a backend system might be down, where the latency is bad. And yeah, like I said, a separate call from that. But good, interesting to see. Definitely SAP acknowledges third-party interfaces are relevant. If it's going to be all the zero data copy, zero data share, whatever things of materialized views, I don't see that happening for the transactional use case of successfully high-performing agents. But hey, I can be wrong too. So.
Yeah, but just one question. We discussed a lot in the past about SAP needs to have its own lake house or data lake. So now they finally have it. What do you think are the partners saying who were on stage last year when BDC was announced?
What they're saying now?
Yeah. I think
the partners. I mean, I don't remember exactly who the partners were who were on stage.
Databricks, right? Snowflake, Microsoft.
Absolutely not. But they were not the exclusive partners, right? So
of course not.
The race is not to get data in the data lake. That's like if you think the Giro d'Italia is going on right now. That's one stage. Yeah, it's at least 3-step race, right? My prediction, I've been there. Last year for the technology aggressive companies was about the data lake. CIOs woke up and said, oh my God, I have my customer, my general ledger, whatever data in 7, 8, 9 clouds, and I'm paying for this or on-premise things and so on. I need to get this down, right? And that number naturally goes down if you want to go radical. It's your ERP system, right? Obviously. It's your cloud of choice, obviously, which you have already, where data gravity exists, right? And then it's whatever the quants or data scientists are doing for the CEO, the board. You don't touch them. They've been doing this since 20 years, right? That's the most brutal consolidation. This is why it's so important to have a data lake, and the data lake has to be open for third parties. So again, shout out to Mohamed Alam for making that point clear all the time. It has to be followed up. But Databricks and so on realize, I mean, as much as you can run on Databricks, it's the out-of-the-box interface. And the first stage is populate your data lake. We're now on the second stage, where it's the battle of the AI frameworks. I realize I have too many AI frameworks. I have splinter of knowledge. People can't repeat, can't maintain what was a great AI framework in 2025, and nobody's supporting it, maybe even not the vendor. So what do I do now, right? So consolidate the AI frameworks. And next year, very interesting, and you see that in announcements from another vendor, which I'm not going to mention here. So talking about SAP is like, oh my God, my agents are so successful, my backend system doesn't scale, right? And that's a ticking time bomb for all the ECC customers who are listening here, right? Because how much headroom have you put into your on-premise system, right? And the example is one from over a year ago, right? 2,000 call center agents doing customer service calls and some lightweight order entry. totally fine running system. First of all, there's never 2,000 warm bodies users being there because of vacation, holiday, sickness, open vacation. So average 1,800 workload on that backend system for doing this. Now, our thinking right now, Constellation is like in those jobs, you will have up to 4 agents working for you in parallel, taking calls, doing calls, and you can supervise them, right? So this is the beginning. It will be more later. And that means all of a sudden the backend system doesn't have 2,000 maximum human users, but has 10,000 people going after the system. And those agents, if they're good enough, they run 24/7. So where's my patch window? They run on the weekend, right? So there's no way your backend system was designed and scaling for that. So for the ECC customers, your number one job on the system side is to see what agents are we building, what headroom does my ERP system have? And this is why I in general think you can only run AI successfully in the cloud, not just for the availability of the training, the execution, the scalability of the compute, but you need to have elasticity in your backend system. You need to have, I won't hint further, you need to have a headless backend system, right? And that announcement didn't come at Sapphire. I mean, SAP had a ton of things to announce, no question about that. So, but that is the strategic next step to be ready for 2027 in the stage 3 of the AI race. Sorry, here's my thinking. Long story.
Thank you very much. There was another acquisition, Prior Labs, a German company, actually, a German AI startup from
out of Freiburg.
Freiburg, next to the
competitors. No, not the Schwaben, but the Badens are terrible. Huh? Where is the Swabian tabular data company?
Yeah, well, I'm used to that. SAP is also from the part of Baden-Württemberg, and I'm a Swabian, so this challenge is with me since more than 20 years.
So for the non-keen with European tribal rivalries, it's one federal state of Baden-Württemberg, but the Badenser and the Württembergers were a different king and a different duke, and they historically never went well together.
If you say Badenser, it's an insult. You need to say Badener. That's me as a Swabian saying that.
Okay. So I'm disenfranchised from Germany. I studied in Baden, in Mannheim, so I should know. But okay, fine. Badener. Okay, Badener versus Württemberger.
Yeah.
But interesting acquisition out of Freiburg. Super interesting valuation, right? 2-year company out of the university and making a lot of money. Good and powerful for them. And on something that SAP was doing by themselves with RPT1 and the release of RPT 1.5. And the justification I heard from Phil Herzig around like, why are you giving up on RPT1 and so on? No, of course not, was the answer, default answer. But it's more about understanding also third-party tabular content. Which again is a good acknowledgement for SAP that the world might be running on SAP as a marketing slickman, but the customers don't only fully run on SAP. So will be interesting what SAP can do with RPT1.
Yeah, and I think what they also said is that they will not integrate it into the product organization, that it will remain more or less a research lab, being independent from product delivery. And I think this can give them the freedom to really be also still on the frontier with their tabular models, and
especially on the third-party data, right? You want to have Prior Labs build the best tabular data on Oracle tables, Oracle application tables, on Workday tables, on Salesforce tables, right? Because the important things of the tabular, and kudos to SAP to come early with RPT1, right? Unveiled, I think, before or at TechEd last year. Right, exactly. Because the funny thing is, a year ago, including myself, we all thought companies will build kind of like some AI models by themselves. There would be a training need, right? How big they're going to be was a big debate. Nobody's doing this right now, right? AI is being used to capture the intent of a string, right? And it's very good at that in general. And then you need, I think it's even AutoSQL in the SAP, you need some automagical thing which understands what did the user want. I know that, but how does it translate into a SQL statement on my side? And that SQL statement could run also on materialized views tables. This is why the tabular models are important. And if you want to have third party, you must have an LLM which can make sure that, oh, I understand how to aggregate the order data across Oracle and SAP, which some customers, a certain amount of customers do have, those heterogeneous landscapes.
Yeah.
Good acquisition. Good acquisition, right? That's the hope it worked, right?
Yeah. And honestly, from my side, long awaited that there will be some acquisition in the AI space from SAP, and yeah.
Correct. And it sets, to quickly point that on the acquisitions, right? It sets it apart from the historic Enjoy and MySAP.com announcement, because those were all, we build this ourselves, the bonus on us. And here SAP is really putting money into acquisitions, which makes sense, and which I personally like as a European, putting money into the German software ecosystem with Prior Labs and with the N8N partnership, right? So good to see, because I mean there's a large European installed base of anything working there, which has a trust of enterprise, is a good move.
Yeah, fully agree. I just want to quickly jump back a bit to the keynote announcement. Yes. I think it was on day 2 in Thomas Sauer S6, and in his keynote, and it was about the new integrated tool chain, or maybe also now called transformation tool chain, and yeah, that's something where SAP finally also uses AI to accelerate the whole S/4HANA transformation topic. And I think that's also something we discussed, I think, at least twice or 3 times. I always said I don't get why SAP is not doubling down on that part, because that's the most burning topic for the customers, with a lot of effort blocking them from innovating, and therefore it's also an issue for SAP, because they are also interested in higher S4 adoption. So finally it's coming now, also agent based. I think they were on stage 5 agents where they showed a demo. Of course, need to see the real world check, but it looks promising, and I think that's going into the right direction. That's overdue, or was overdue, I would say.
Correct. And in general, the transformation story from SAP, the transformation suite of LeanIX, Process Management, Signavio, and then of course WalkMe, right? WalkMe was notably absent, right? Which we'll see if that means anything or not, but I noticed that is a very powerful story, again, for the third-party capabilities of looking into this, right? It's a little confused if you ask different people who's going to ground and make sure that your agents are doing the right thing. There's a data answer, there's a programmed API answer, there's a process management answer, but that's very common in the market right now, as different people are jousting for their position in the overall SAP landscape. But the transformation suite is a very powerful story, and it's all bundled again together into the business AI platform. Yeah. And maybe WalkMe is not, so this is why maybe they took a little bit of a backseat. Didn't see much.
Well, I don't know if that will be also the case from the commercial side, because the integrated tool chain, at least during last year, was not really available as a single product. So you need to subscribe to LeanIX, WalkMe, Cloud ALM. You get as a customer for free, more or less, as part of your contract. And Signavio. So I think that was a bit of a burden for the tool chain to come alive at customers. I hope that changed, but I don't know it yet.
Right. Yeah, we'll see when SAP is in the bundling phase, so I'm sure you can negotiate to get all of that if you want to pay for all of that right away, or if you want to piecemeal it because use something else for process management, or use something else for system management or integration management.
Probably customers who are not on Rise or Grow will do, because it's only available for them.
Good point. Good. What are we forgetting? What else is missing?
My main topic which was a bit of I would say even a shitstorm before Sapphire.
The funny intro. Sorry to interrupt you. Right? It starts with an A, it ends with an I, but it's not AI.
There's a P in between, and
there's a P.
API policy.
Right, exactly.
But it's related to AI, I would say, at least the reasoning behind.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what happened? I think, and SAP commented on stage that was not probably communicated, and I so think it still isn't. But end of March, beginning of April, there was first an announcement on the partner portal, and where they said there will be more ODP restrictions for the so-called ODP RFC interface, which is an interface for extracting mass data into data lakes, for example. That was already a bit of a separate topic. I won't go into details here, but they also said, there will be an API policy. Forgot the date when they said it will be there,
Right.
but then 2 or 3 days earlier than they announced that it will be announced, it suddenly appeared on the internet, and the first version was, I would say, rather restrictive, at least from what I read. So I'm not a lawyer, but it's in the end, it more or less said you are only allowed to use APIs in the way SAP intended them to use, and it sounded a bit like all custom integration and also third-party integration would not be allowed anymore. That was the first version, and in the meantime, there were 2 updates. So wording really changed in the meantime, and they also published, I think, 3 versions of an FAQ document, which probably got input from customers, partners, and the user groups. I think the latest version has 17 or 18 pages. But yeah, I would say, so from my point of view, the policy reads way stricter than the FAQs, and that's, at least for me, leaves me back with some uncertainty. It sounds a bit like an Damocles sword put in place. So you never know when SAP really tries to enforce the policy. At least that's my feeling at the moment.
Yeah, it's like how not to do it, but on the flip side, how to do it for a customer-friendly way, which software vendors usually are not in. And with that, I mean you leaked something not fully cooked out, not fully messaged before your largest user conference. So everybody who wants to talk about this can get excited about it and talk about it in person or land or on online forums and validate it further. Obviously, it's not been fully thought through, but for me, from a 30,000-foot perspective, it's a good announcement because SAP is killing some of the skeletons they had in the closet since forever, which means that there will be a central API hub, or whatever you want to call it, a way to get to your SAP data, which is a standard feature of 21st century software, which SAP has not really provided. And the irony that I see is the pressure is really, really on SAP to, for the first time in their history, make an API directory framework work, right? Because in the past, and I personally was part of the BAPI, quoting last century, I'd enjoy my SAP BAPI integration, right? It was the first release, it was not complete, it wasn't performing, more to come, nothing more ever came afterwards. So the question is to turn around from the customer perspective, fine, you have a new policy. When are you going to be complete for certain areas, for certain modules, for finance or for HR, or what can I do with them? And then, of course, the question is, what will you charge me for the use of those APIs, right? And that's where in the past, it would always fall apart. SAP said, oh, no, there's a first version, we're not going to charge for it, right? But you're paying on premise for the compute anyway. Now it's a little different because in the cloud, if you're on the cloud, but and it's not complete. So you can still do your quick and dirty proven ways to get to ABAP or whatever, or you directly get to the data and schema. And I think that's the reality which materialized out, only limited by the strength and magnitude of the SAP API scope that's available to customers, always assuming that they get the pricing of that right? But that's a commercial discussion to have at some point. So I think architecturally it's the right thing. Massive change for the ecosystem. You're absolutely right. Now SAP needs a roadmap, right? Because they won't be able to provide all these APIs overnight. How they're going to prioritize them, which one they're going to make available, when they're going to start charging for them, how much they will be charging for them. That's the key questions which should be debated, not the other stuff. But hey, it's an emotional topic, right? Things will break. depending on how you interpret the policy, and everybody has their own version of the policy, no question.
Yeah, I think closing things down first and then not even talking about delivering the APIs, because
but that's the negotiation dance, right? Right. I mean, obviously everybody asks a little more than they will ultimately settle and end with, right? And maybe, I don't think anybody at SAP could insanely in the building behind me in Waldorf, the headquarters, in case you wonder why I have that, was thinking, oh, maybe we get away in the pre-Sapphire announcements of making that, and nobody will notice now. There's too many people who pay attention to that, so you couldn't get away with it, right? So, and then just to be safe, you make it more restrictive than it really will have to be, and there will be a transition period, and the SAG and SASU, the American user group, or large user groups, the British one, will have something. They will negotiate something hopefully consistent for all customers, but at the core is that SAP needs to come up with some realistic, feasible pricing which reflects the cost and the value of the API, right? Because the dirty secret is, if I could go the data, I had to rebuild a logic of understanding the data, right? And in an agentic world, business users, people who build agents, don't have an understanding of the schema of the data, right? So they rightfully expect APIs, and the question is, when SAP going to be good, well enough on the API side? That's the big question to me.
Yeah, I think somehow overdue, as said, as you also said, SAP never managed to deliver the APIs needed. So customers, partners, everybody found a way to work around, and it was accepted from SAP side. So now not delivering a roadmap yet, or not even talking about it, is another issue I see. And I understand to some extent that SAP wants to, or I understand that they need to protect themselves from more or less reverse engineering, or just remaining as the headless ERP backbone. That's also, I think, something they need to do. That's what the shareholders also expect from them. But I also see in that, if you look through the different versions of the API policy, it's a complex topic, because at least that's a bit of my point of view. The intention probably was to lock other AI companies out, that something like whatever, building the agents outside the SAP world and just doing the backend calls.
Possible, but I mean, once you have a published API part, you don't want to have any APIs being used, right? And as a customer, I would like to have the proverbial one butt to kick, right? I mean, if the provider of the transactional system provides me the API, they're in charge if there's changes that the API works. If I use a third party as a compromise built by whoever, that's always something which it may break at some point, right?
Of course.
Despite all the best efforts of all the parties involved, right? So, I mean, the move would be to vendor-supported interfaces and APIs. That's the right move, right? So third parties were just filling a gap, and I agree. It might be bad news for the third-party providers, right? So, but some third-party providers, Veltio, Dremio, who all have SAP interfaces, right, are making a good exit, at least for them. Another one. Like I said, like 4 billion reasons for Salesforce to like Informatica. And the main value are the out-of-the-box interfaces to third parties to populate the Salesforce data lake. So it's a battle for building agents faster and out-of-the-box context, out-of-the-box interfaces. Let's not even talk about context. Different story. Out-of-the-box interface that are supported and working since many years that people are using already. Like, yeah, why not, right? Use them.
Yeah.
Cool. There's one thing if you're done with the API stuff, I want to go back to the announcements, which is kind of like buried there, but let's finish on the APIs first. Have we said and done everything on APIs that should be done about APIs?
I could discuss that for ages, but that would be probably better offline and with a beer in hand.
Yeah, it would get boring, right? No, to make your own rant and infinite loop and see how many views it gets on YouTube.
No, better not.
Oh, as long as interesting and factual, yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing forgot on the announcement was buried kind of like there. I've been asking that for a long time. You see that pretty much with every vendor. The agents running separately on a replicated data lake need some transactional system memory for logical things, other pieces, right? Obviously, the transactional answer now from SAP is not some open source other database that some other vendors in the space have done, but putting a full HANA database into BDC. Now, if that will be only for agents doing something, or which I think, because the highest level problem right now is like, where are the out-of-the-box interfaces from SAP systems there, right? And one way of doing that is replicating HANA to HANA, which is sub-second, expensive but sub-second. It means your BDC is a copy from a memory footprint of your ERP system, right? Which may be interesting, but if the future of enterprise automation is agents, that system needs to be an emancipated system to the ERP system, and that would solve all the integration issues on the data side, right? All of a sudden, all of the out of box, you have a HANA system for human and a HANA system for agents, and they can replicate data close to real time under sub-second for practical purposes, real time, which is extremely interesting.
Is that this enterprise context SAP was speaking about?
Well, let's not get in the context, whatever that is, right? But yeah, it would give you all the enterprise context in your ERP system if you have sub-second replication in your data lake. So your agents will know exactly what's going on, right? Your humans will know exactly what's going on. If you keep it separate or clean, who knows? If you can reposition to a single instance, right? On data lake side, I don't know. But that gives, is again, a good sign, gives a transactional database, which in SAP speech historically should be HANA. It comes with a cost. But it comes also, which is the biggest benefit. We spent, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. We have to have asked Guy about integration being so important in 2026 to build agents. It could solve right away. You can turn it on table by table, HANA replication, which is sub-second if you're fast enough to your data cloud, to your data lake, right? So,
yeah. Now I looked it up. The actual name I was looking for, the organizational memory. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, no. I'm really talking about putting a HANA database. Who knows if it's scope and so on? Maybe it's limited in terms of tables and rows. Maybe it's just an operational, technical HANA special version for agents to keep their memory and so on, right?
Yeah.
What I hope it is to a certain point, and again, comes with a high cost, right? Because HANA costs a lot because it needs so much memory. Giving the customer the ability to push anything in their transactional HANA database where SAP is running on to the data lake which runs in public cloud. Great story for ECC customers, but are ECC customers using HANA? I don't think so, right?
Some are running ECC on HANA, but probably not on the cloud.
yeah, sure, but it can be from on-premise to the cloud. Yeah. So it would solve the data migration of moving to the cloud too. There's lots of potential in these two systems which know each other, talking to each other. So let's see if they follow it up and what comes out of that. But extremely interesting to solve the data population problem in the data lake. Yeah. Because there the story was, we're going to have self-service data products, and the data products to the data studio is now part, of course, of the business AI platform. But telling customers, all right, we'll give you the self-service tool to move your data to the data lake, that's not what people want. They want out-of-the-box interfaces. And again, SAP doesn't have the developers to build all these out-of-the-box interfaces, right? Because I want to see what can you do. And the answer was always data products. But data products are analytical products, right? They don't have the transaction lead for agents. So yes, I can build something on top of the data populated by data products. But why should I license 3.5 data products to make an order-taking agent run? Yeah. Right? Which probably doesn't even write back. But who knows? Because analytical use cases don't need to write back. So
because your SAP AE will like you.
Say what?
Your SAP AE will like you if you subscribe to those data products just for your order agent.
Of course, yeah, it was a great idea to get that, but they were not built for the purpose, right? You have to, I think, be fair to the ones and zeros, right? If you're built for a certain purpose, if you're lucky, you work for other purposes as well. But if you don't, if people bastardize you to do something else, it's not going to be a happy ending. It's unfair to the bits and bytes. Yeah. Cool. Are we at an end, Martin?
I think so.
40, almost 50 minutes. Lots of topics. Like I said, I'm always critical of market leaders. SAP is a market leader for ERP, no question. But this was the best Sapphire on this side of the century. So congrats to them. Now there's plenty of answers to provide. It's a long roadmap. Nothing is built overnight. But this is the best start vision-wise that SAP has had, since a long time.
Yeah, totally agree. As I said in the beginning already, even not being there, caught my attention, and I think also afterwards I read a lot and listened to many podcasts about covering the topics. So shout out to John Reed, for example, the ASAC talks, and also Alex Grab. Good input for this session.
Yep.
A lot of topics to discuss, and we will see how it will materialize. As I said, I see at least for the customers who are doubling down on their SAP strategy way forward. Hopefully they are not too overwhelmed with already the next transformation ahead, but I think that will never stop in that industry these days.
Correct. Absolutely right. So thank you, Martin. This was great 50 minutes talking about Sapphire and the API pieces. I hit the like and subscribe on the bottom. If you like the content, please like and subscribe us, because people look at that. And now that we have a nicely featured like and subscribe animation, which I can toggle on, toggle off, self-service power. And if you missed anything in the coverage, or you want us to talk about something else, please don't be shy either. Let us know. Always eager to learn and get your point of view in here, and learn what you're seeing, what's working, what's not working, and what you thought Sapphire was. And if you had a better vision thing happening in SAP in the last, how old is SAP? 50 plus years, right? If you see any other similar things, right? The launch of R2, I don't know who was around for that. As an example, could have been the same category, right? So yeah. Launch of R3 was not, but it was in hindsight, of course, historically important.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, you need to take a new picture of VDF.
Yeah, it's myself. Yeah. There's a new headquarters center. Okay, perfect. So it's
I think it's a construction site, but it does not look like that anymore.
Okay. It's an historic picture. I don't know when I took
a historic picture.
The headquarters in Waldorf. Where's your vineyards in the background? They will be there forever. Longer than our life. We will not change in our lifetime.
Well, just one shout out to all Coffee Corner Radio listeners. You find us probably on YouTube, on Constellation Research channel, but also on all podcast platforms, being it Spotify, Apple, the Google podcast directory, or any other. So also, if you prefer the audio only version, feel free to subscribe there, and also provide feedback. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Have a good one.